Hi guys, this is Shiva. Welcome to the tutorial on Flyway. In this session, I am going to explain how you can use Flyway plugin for your Maven project. In order to work with the Flyway for your Maven project, it has the basic two minimum prerequisites. One is Maven. Maven version should be greater than 2 or 3. So in my local computer, the Maven version is 3.3.9, and also it requires Java version greater than 1.6. So if these two softwares not available on your local computer, first download these softwares and install them and then continue with this video. Now the next step is I'm going to create a basic Maven project. There's a Maven project. And for me, it requires a quick start is enough. So what we are going to select is Maven dash archetype dash quick start 1.1. Go to the next. Here group ID is going to com.myflyway.demo, and this is Flyway Maven as a go artifact ID, and click finish. Now if in order to add the dependency, open the form.xml, and it comes with the default dependency as a JUnit, as we have created a basic Java project. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to replace these properties with the Flyway dependencies. I'm going to explain all these things in detail. So now what I have added here, let us look by one. So in the dependencies, what I have added is JUnit. Anyhow, it is a for the Java project is a basic minimum dependency. It comes as part of the Maven project creation itself. And then I have added a JDBC driver dependency for the Derby database, because now I am going to use Derby database as a relational database to migrate the database scripts. That means Flyway going to use this database Derby database JDBC jar while migrating the scripts from to the database. Now, if you are working with any other database, first you need to add the dependency for the JDBC jar here for that particular database. And the second dependency or the plugin what we are going to use is the Flyway plugin, that is arc.flywaydb, and then artifact ID is going to be the flyway-maven-plugin, and version is 4.2.0. Now this is the plugin we need to add, and it requires, and also the Flyway plugin requires the configuration in order to migrate your database. So if you gone through earlier my tutorial where we have specified that JDBC URL is the JDBC URL is going to be the mandatory requirement. Here also similarly what you need to do is you need to add the driver and the URL for your database and the schema and the password for that. And remaining configuration parameter is the advanced concepts. I am going to explain these things in the later tutorial. But for now, what I am trying to do here is with the basic minimum requirement, we will try to connect to the database, and using the Flyway, we are going to migrate few of the database changes I'm going to explain in this video. Now, first, we will go to the database and see what is the, as of now, what happens is Flyway is going to be the default schema, and also it does not have any, it is an empty schema actually. So let us go ahead and see the database schema once. If I go to the database, this is the Flyway is my database. Now if I go and see here, tables, it is an empty schema here. Okay, so empty schema. Now using this Flyway, now we are going to we are going to migrate the database scripts to this schema. Okay, now in order to execute this one, we can go to the Java perspective view and go to the base or root project for this Flyway Maven, and then enter command, open the command prompt. In order to execute the Flyway commands, use mvn flyway and then use migrate. As this is the empty database, empty schema, now this is going to create a schema underscore version table in the database. We can see that. So it is going to execute flyway migrate command, and it successfully created it found that it is an empty schema, and also it created schema underscore version. But if you see there is some warnings it is giving, that is unable to resolve the location file system, and it is giving the specified path. So whenever you add the Flyway plugin to your Maven, by default it is going to look the database script whatever you want to migrate, those needs to be under this particular folder. As I didn't created this particular folder, it is saying that this location is unable to identify. Okay, we can go ahead and create this location, but before that what I am going to do is go to the database schema here and refresh the schema. Then you can see that the table schema underscore version has created, and if you run this sample content, you'll see there is nothing data is populated here. Now what I'm going to do is we are going to create a folder structure what it is expecting with the default location, and then we will add the script there. Okay, that is src main resources db and migration. Okay, so this is the folder it is going to expect the script, the SQL script needs to be placed here. So I'm creating this folder. Now what we are trying to do here is we are going to create a SQL file. Okay, that what are the file name create. So as I explained earlier, this should be version underscore underscore create emp table. Finish. Now here create table emp id integer emp name varchar of 100. That's all. It is a simple create DDL statement which is going to create a table. Now we have placed the script here, and again we are going to run the same command and see what happens. mvn flyway migrate. Now as we didn't specify any location, by default it go to the file system, see users workspace flyway maven src main resources db migration, and it will pick the version whatever the script we have placed there, and it is going to execute and migrate that one to the schema. If you see here, successfully validated one migration, and current version of the schema flyway is empty schema, and then migrating the schema flyway to the version 1 create employee table, successfully applied one migration to the schema flyway. Now if I go to the database and refresh the schema once again, we can see that the table is going to be created, and this is the employee table. And if I see the content of the schema version, you can see that there is one entry goes with the description and the type, and the script is going to be v1 underscore create emp table. Now let us go to the Java once again, this folder, create one more script. It is SQL, and now this time what I'm going to do is v2, because this is always you need to maintain the version, increment the version for every time you create a new script. v2 create cust table. Finish. Create table customer cust id integer customer name varchar of 100. So I saved it I come to the command prompt again. I'll run once again. Now this time it is going to it is going to pick the new version, and it is going to it is going to migrate the second table to the database. Now if I say here, sorry, what it is saying, v2, okay, it is the file name convention wrong. You need to have the two underscores. Okay. Okay, and again go to here, run once again. Then this time it is going to create this table in the database. Okay, so version 2 is created, that is the create cust table. Now if I go to the database development perspective and refresh this table, you can see customer table it has created. And if I go and see this content of the schema underscore version, then you can see that there is two records it got inserted. One is EMP, one is in the cust table. Now similarly, as earlier explained, it has the few more commands. That is, if you want to see the info about the migrations, flyway info, then it will display the migration details on the console. Okay, so there are two migrations happen. Those things it is those things it has placed. And also, if you want to validate about the schema and versus the scripts, whatever it is available on the your directory folder, then you can specify this one. Validate is going to validate your scripts whatever available in your local with respect to the whatever it is already migration happened to the database. Now validation is going to be successful. Okay, and similarly you can clean the schema. Then this is going to be a dangerous command because it is going to clean all the objects under that particular schema. Now if I go to the refresh my flyway once again, okay, you can see the schema flyway tables are empty because we applied the empty clean command, so it is going to clean it. Similarly, if you want to rebase this one, then you can put baseline. Then it is going to have an, that means whenever you do baseline, whatever the previous database changes, don't care. And from that point of onwards, whatever the migration you are doing, Flyway will be keep track of these changes. Okay, so this is going to be mark the baseline and it is going to create the schema version. Now if you see here, schema underscore version, and also when I refresh this schema, you will see that schema version will be there. And also if you see the sample content, it will be the default of Flyway baseline it has created. That means previously how many database changes it doesn't care about it, but from that point of onwards, whatever the changes you are doing for the database using the Flyway, those will be tracked under this schema version. Okay, and similarly you can use the Flyway repair. This, sorry, typo mistake. It is Flyway repair. So basically whenever you do migration using the Flyway, if migrations didn't completed successfully, then you can apply the repair command so that it is going automatically, it will roll back whatever the recent changes happening as part of the migration so that it will come to the previous stage. Okay, so these are the commands which are available for the Maven project. For example, now by default it is going to under this particular path, that is the SRC main resources DB migration. If you don't want this path and if you want to have in some separate path, then what you can do is you can create a folder anywhere and migration. I'm creating under the migration, and I can place the script here. What it is, SQL script I am going to place, that is in v3 underscore underscore insert data emp. Finish it, and here insert into emp values 101 Shiva. Okay, so this is the insert script I have created. Now what happens is by default it only looks for the location, that is SRC main resources DB migration. But if you want to specify in some other location, then we have a concept of this one, that is locations. If you see here, right, locations, you can say specify that file system colon and then you can say migration. Now what happens is along with that location it is going to identify the file system and the look for this migration folder, and it is going to pick this file and it will do the migration. Now what I'm going to do here is Flyway migrate. Now let us see. Now when it is trying to identify the locations and it will do the migration. Now see here what happens is first we need to clean, because non-empty only we can migrate. First let us clean it and then we will apply the migrate command. Because whenever you do the baseline, then automatically it will not allow you to do. So better what you can do is clean it and then apply the migrate. Flyway migrate. Now it has already cleaned it. First it has to create those tables and then it has to insert. Scanning it. Migration it has done. Okay, now if I see here what happened is it has taken the preference of the whatever the location we have given, and that is the reason it unable to insert it properly. Now what it means is I will migrate this script to this folder. Now I will try. Because by default what the Maven is going to do is Maven look for the SRC main DB migration, and then but if you want to specify in some other location, you can specify your folder any part of your root project as a folder, and then you can specify that location here file system and then specify the folder. It will look into that folder and it will start executing it. Now it is see here. Now it has taken the priority of the location whatever we have specified, that is file system migration. It has taken this script and it has executed. If you don't want this customization, then by default you can create a folder structure like SRC main resources DB migration, and then automatically it will be taken care of it. And one more thing, if you observe here, this time when it is creating the schema, that is default schema table, schema underscore version, previously it used to create with the schema underscore version, but if you see this time it has created with the schema underscore history, because it has a one more configuration in the form.xml. You can specify the table name, with that table it is going to create, and also locations, wherever the location you are going to specify, that location will be taken as a priority than the default one, and it will execute accordingly. And along with that, there are some other configuration parameters you can put as part of the form.xml so that the default behavior is going to be changed. I'm going to explain this configuration in the advanced concept in the later tutorial. For now, I hope you are clear with how to add the Flyway database migration tool for your for your Maven project. So at a high level, what we have done is we have created a Maven project. In the form.xml, we have put the dependency related to the JDBC jar and the Flyway plugin, and then we have applied the few configuration which are needs to talk to your database, and then we added the migration scripts. If we don't specify any path, then by default it is going to take src main resources db migration. If you specify the path, then you need to provide an entry in the form.xml in the locations and specify the file system, and you can pointing the where your migration scripts are there. Then remaining migration scripts you can work as it is. So in order to work with the Maven commands, you can specify Maven Flyway colon migrate info validate and then repair and baseline. So these are the commands we are going to use so that the database migration part will be taken care by the Flyway. Hope you are clear with this concept, and if you have any questions, please comment on my YouTube video. Please do subscribe to my YouTube channel to get more technical videos. Thanks for watching.